Happy Friday, everybody, and I am excited to be bringing another Legends of Runeterra deck video to you guys. And I can do that because YouTube doesn't get canceled because of the coronavirus. What now? That's right. All I can tell you is I've been hearing about damn near everything getting canceled because of this thing. The MLB, the NHL, the ABC, XYZ, and all I'm saying is I'm going to keep putting up YouTube videos. I don't care if I'm sick, dying, whatever. So very excited to be bringing you guys this particular deck, which honestly was inspired to me by Swim. I was watching one of his videos. He was doing a Scribe of Sorrows deck. So I took a look at Scribe of Sorrows and kind of twisted it a little bit to, I don't know. Well, I mean, you'll see when I get into it. But anyways, if this is your first time here, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you. And like I said, I'm excited to get into this, so let's just get right into the deck itself. Alright, so here we have the deck itself, and as you can see, first thing I want to point out, we got one champ, we got 8 units, we got 32 spells. And honestly, that's one of the cool things I liked about this game when I first started, is that you're not restricted to have to play 6 champs or have to play 3 champs or whatever. You can play 1, 2, 3, 4. You can play a combination of 5 champions if you want, different champions. So definitely adds to the creativity of the deck building process, which is something I absolutely love. So anyways, one of the big reasons we want to keep the units down is Scribe of Sorrows. So if you guys haven't seen any decks floating around for this, Scribe of Sorrows, when I'm summoned, create a copy in hand of an ally that died this game. Well, if Scribe's the only ally that died, guess what? You're getting another Scribe. So you can just keep getting Scribe over and over and over again. So you have infinite 2/3s. And honestly, at 3 health, it's not bad. I mean, they're pretty sticky. There's no like board clear outside of Ruination. Avalanche, this is outside of Avalanche, right? So it's pretty good unit to have to swarm the field. Now, with that said, that severely limits your deck building possibilities. So the only other units we're actually playing are Chronicler of Ruin, because we can actually destroy and revive it. If we get this early on in the game, it is very good. It basically gives us another way of getting a Scribe of Sorrows out super early. The only downside is if the Chronicler dies, now you have a chance to also pull a Chronicler. But if you pull a Chronicler, again, when you play the next Scribe, you can just Chronicler that. So it'll even out eventually. We are also playing, because we're trying to keep the units down, we're playing Corina. And this is one of the differences that I changed from whatever Swim was playing, at least from what I saw. He did not have this card in here. I don't even think he was playing... I don't think he was playing Piltover and Zon with it. I forget. But honestly, I love this card. This and Jae Medarda are two. I know nobody probably even knows what the hell Jae Medarda is. These are 2 cards that I more than anything want to work out in some sort of cool combo deck. So I'm hoping that I can refine this deck to be a little bit better. I love her effect. Getting a 6/6 on the field with a board wipe and damage to the face, usually 3 damage pretty consistently, is pretty freaking good. I love crazy effects like this. So definitely, I think a great card. So we are putting 2 copies of it in the deck. And we got Ezreal. And that is almost strictly for the mirror matchup, or not necessarily mirror, but a control matchup. This deck is inherently a control deck. It's going to stall out the game. If you're going up against another control deck, you're going to have a hard time pushing through the damage with only 2-3 units. And a lot of times, most control decks nowadays do have bigger, beefier units than you're going to have. They got Lux, they got Karma, right? So what Ezreal allows you to do, considering we're playing 3 Fading Memories, you can actually play 6 spells. You can play, for example, 3 Fading Memories, 3 Absorb Souls, and 2 Mystic Shots with 1 Ezreal on the board, and that's 20 damage. You can also use Mist's Call or Scribe of Sorrows to pull more Ezreals into your hand, potentially get multiple onto the board. So honestly, I think it's really the only way that you're going to beat a control deck is with the Ezreal. I think the game that I have for you guys now was not against a control deck. It was against one of the stupid elusive decks that I'm sure everybody's played by now. But I digress. So I do quickly want to talk about Absorb Soul. This card, I think this card is underrated. I think this card will get a lot better as more sets get released because it heals you for 4 for so cheap. You are sacrificing one of your units, but I'm sure, like, you know, if you have an Elise on field and a Spiderling pops up, you can drain the Spiderling for 4. Even though it only has 1 health, you're still getting 4 heals. So I think this card will be very good in the future, but this is probably the only deck that it's actually good in. But it is very good in this deck. Because once you get the Scribe chain going, which probably won't be until a little bit later in the game when you're lower on health, especially against an aggro deck, you'll be able to just sack these puppies off and gain the 12 health back from all 3 of them. And last but not least, I mean, most of these, I'm not going to touch on most of these because they're all just, you know, control, deal damage to units cards, like Get Excited, Mystic Shot, Static Shock, all that good stuff to draw into it, a couple progress days. We do have a possession in here. I just want to mention that. Honestly, it's in here because we're pretty much maxed out on all the other cards. Originally, I had 3 Vengeance in here, and I think I changed it for the possession because having 2 Ruination, 2 Corina, 2 Progress Days, 2 Vengeance, or at the time it was 3 Vengeance, and I think I had 3 Ruination, Progress Day, and Vengeance at one point. It was way too clunky. Way too clunky. So my hand was basically just getting so crap in the beginning of games I wasn't able to really do anything. So we knocked it down a little bit. And one more note on Corina. Keep in mind, if you do play Corina, that effect can be denied. So a lot of times what I found myself doing is kind of messing with my opponent because nobody expects Corina. So if I want to get Ruination off, I'll play the Corina first. They'll deny the Corina, usually. Not always. If you want to get Corina off, they'll almost always, 99% of the time, deny the Ruination. Because everybody wants to take a free deny on a Ruination. Everybody loves denying Ruination. It's like the most expensive spell in the game, or one of them anyways, right? That and Harrowing. Those 2 cards are great. It feels good to deny those, right? So if you play the Ruination first, Corina will usually go off the next turn, no problem. So if you're trying to kind of calculate, you know, end of game damage, just work that into your calculation. It might take you an extra turn to kind of ensure that Corina is going to go off. So without further ado, let's see the gameplay. All right, so on the request of some viewers that had commented on a video of mine, I do have the rank in the beginning here. I'll put it at the end as well. That way you guys know what rank I'm playing at. So right now we are doing this in Platinum. Fingers crossed here. I'm pretty sure I won this game. The first thing you want with this deck in particular is you need to mulligan based on your opponent, like entirely. Now that's usually, you should be doing that anyways, but it's super important because if you're playing against another control deck, you're going to want to draw as much as possible to try to get Scribe as quickly as possible. Then you might actually win with Scribe. You also want to try to not use things like Mystic Shot and Fading Memories so you can possibly have an Ezreal combo at the end of the game. But this isn't a control matchup. This is the stupid elusive deck. Like, I played this deck like 1 time. That's a lie. I played it a few times to, like, you know, actually get a feel for it. I despise this deck. I absolutely despise playing it. Like, everybody plays this deck because it's just so, like, dumb, stupid, easy. You just put your cards on the field and they all just work. Ugh. All right, anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent here. So, as you can see, we're basically just going alongside everything that he does. Basically going to go ahead and destroy anything he plays, or at least try to. Anything small like the Omen Hawk, I'll probably let stick around for a little while. Maybe get a Static Shock on it, or something similar. Now, Zed is a big problem. Zed is one of the reasons I hate this deck, especially because this one is buffed. So we're almost immediately going to want to get rid of this Zed, which is exactly why I take the Open Vengeance. He only has 3 mana left. So with only having 3 mana left, there's pretty much nothing he can play that's going to prevent the Vengeance from going off, except Shadow Shift. So, damn, that's a pain in the ass. Not really much I can do about that. But that was likely a Shadow Shift for another Zed. So at least I technically got rid of another Zed that was in his hand for a little while. Alright, so we drew the first Scribe. So the first Scribe, you just want to get out there. Now, you can wait until you get a Fading Memories. But being that he only has an Omen Hawk on the field right now, I'm trying to actually keep a little bit of field presence over him. So he might not have the greatest hand right now, so I might as well, okay, I have a solid body, 3 health blocker. I can avoid taking a little bit of extra chip damage if possible. The reason I decided to go in for this attack is because I pretty much figured he's going to go with the block with the Navori Blade Scout. I can go ahead and Static Shock next turn. No big deal. Now, at this point, I want to kill myself because of all these stats. So, again, we're going to try to just get rid of this Zed. Now, he's got 6 mana. There's a pretty good shot that he's going to have some sort of thing to protect this Zed. The reason I'm opening with a Mystic Shot is because if he attacks before I Mystic Shot, then he's going to get the copy off. I'm going to take extra unneeded damage. So I have to do this proactively on my turn. So he did have one thing to try to prevent it. I come back with the Drain, and fortunately, he does not have an Elixir of Iron or another Twin Disciples or something like that. So we kind of lucked out there. Usually, they're going to have something else at that point. Now, what's unfortunate about this scenario is that I set up for the Static Shock, and now because of the Zed, I had to expel all my resources on the Zed. Overall, I take less damage, but, you know, I got to wait for the Static Shock for 1 turn. So now I go ahead and play the Static Shock. Now, again, keep in mind, I know this looks bleak. I know this looks bleak right now, but I promise, guys, just wait. I wait until the end of the game. It gets way better. There's a comeback a-coming, all right? I know it looks bad, especially with the 2 Ruinations in hand, right? They're kind of clunking up the hand. That's why I do have a Rummage in this deck as well, just in case, to kind of provide that little bit of extra draw. There's no synergy with the mushrooms like you usually see to, you know, provide more discard fodder. It's really just to get rid of any of those big cost spells if they are clunking up your hand, and just sift through the deck a little bit more. Because you'll usually have, if you discard a Ruination, you'll either draw another one or draw some other card that will be able to clear the field for you. So at this point, I'm pretty much just stuck with having to open Ruination and cross my fingers that he doesn't have a deny. Now, the only bright side of this situation is that I do have a Mystic Shot to follow up and kill the Green Glade duo. So I can technically live if he does deny it by 2 health. So I got that going for me. He ends up recalling, which is good. So I know he's still not on deny. Generally, I think these decks now are only running 2 or even 1 deny. They're going a little bit more aggressive, so that's good for me. So he's still able to repopulate the field here. So I'm in basically the same boat where I have to Mystic Shot something. I barely stay alive, but I'm still kicking. All right, so we drew into the second Scribe. We're golden now. Like, we are absolutely golden. Now, none of his units are elusive right now, so I need to start getting blockers onto the field, essentially. So at this point, I'm just Scribe, Scribe, Scribe. Now I got some blockers. Now I have some time to actually, you know, find one of my my drain lives or something to get me back up a little bit and start getting back in this game. Now I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because at this point I just play a crap ton of Scribes. So ain't nobody got time for that. So let's fast forward a little bit here. I basically just keep trying to, you know, block as much as I can, you know, kill as much as I can with things like Mystic Shot and Thermo Beams. And this just goes on back and forth for a few turns. You can see I get really low on health. He doesn't end up drawing an elusive, which is good for me. I do now draw Grasp, so I have something to fall back on if he does, you know, get some sort of elusive or face damage off. Now I get to the point where I draw Corina, and you can see too that now I'm getting to the point where I have such a huge advantage over him because I have a full field. I have cards on cards on cards in hand, and a deck like this especially, and these decks are all over the place. This deck counters this particular elusive deck very, very, very well. It removes everything from the field, and as long as you draw your Scribe within a reasonable amount of time, or your second Scribe, I should say, you will outvalue them because anything that you need to block that's elusive, you can just destroy, and everything else, like the Jeweled Protector, you know, this guy's playing the Navori guys. You know, anything that's not elusive, you can just shove the 2/3s into every turn and just do chip damage and eventually kill them all. So now we get the Ezreal too, and the Ezreal's leveled up. So we can do a combination of Corina, Ezreal. Corina will clear the field. At this point, I know he's not on deny based on the last few turns. I get 4 here. 4 is a little bit above average. 3 is probably average with how many, monsters or how many followers are in the deck. And I've drawn a bunch by now, obviously. And usually by the time you play Corina, you have drawn and skewed the percentage a little bit where it's even more skewed for spells. But we play the Corina, and he ends up surrendering. I had the Ezreal as well, which is probably how I was going to win next turn. So all is well. So absolutely, I think this is fun. I think this deck needs a lot of work, but I think it's very, very, very fun. All right, guys, that is it for this deck. Now, honestly, like I said, I don't think this is the greatest deck. I think it's very, very, it's very early in its design. So if you guys have any recommendations, another route I was thinking about going was Ionia. I don't know if I want to maybe pair it with Karma or something and get some of those spammy double spells off and stuff. Don't know what I want to do yet with that, but definitely let me know your feedback in the comments below. Curious to see what you guys think I should add or take out with this deck. I also don't know the shady dude, the guy that transforms into an exact copy. Somebody comment below. I'm not sure if when you play the shady dude, when he transforms into Scribe, do you also get the Scribe effect of him transforming, or does the Scribe effect technically not activate because it was not played from your hand as Scribe? It was played from the shady follower or shady whatever his name is. So I haven't seen that interaction yet, so if anybody wants to comment below, let me know if you know. Very much would appreciate it. But as always, if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Got Legends of Runeterra content all the time. And what would any video be without me saying stay positive, hope shit just works for you, and peace out.